Hey folks, how are we doing? Alrighty, yes, welcome. It's time for another Rhinos League. And well, I guess a little update first on just what I've been doing with regards to the old Magic the Gathering. Because I did try to record some non-Rhinos content. I played a bunch of Ancient Tomb, so I played both Red Stompy and Show and Tell for the most part. And so at the time of recording, Red Stompy was the number one deck in the metagame. Right now it's number two. And I guess I just can't stand this deck. It really bothers me that against a Delver, you have your Chalice for 1 out, right? And then that precludes the option of having Pyroblast to answer your opponent's Murktide Regent, because it gets countered by your own Chalice of the Void. And so, I don't know, I was always a big proponent of bringing in Leyline of the Void. Now, I've mostly played against Red Stompy than actually played it myself. And if you have it in hand to start the game, it certainly is great, but it is an absolutely terrible top deck. And so, just after sideboarding, just none of your cards actually do anything. It's really frustrating. Like, Chalice of the Void locks them out on 1, and maybe you'll get a Blood Moon down. But if they have access to their basic island, they're eventually gonna Petty Theft your Chalice of the Void or get a Murktide Regent down. And then if your deck is filled with Leyline of the Voids, well, that'll help slow the Murktide Regent. But your deck is just filled with cards that just don't really do anything. And it makes your Pyroglyphs much smaller. And so you're just trying to beat them down with 2/2s. It's just not a very effective strategy. So I got into Sneak and Show for a hot minute there. JPA93, who's, a renowned Sneak and Show expert, put up this list in a challenge that plays 4 days. A lot of lists play like 2 days and 2 the One Rings and less Preordains and these Omniscience's main deck. So this is like a low to the ground version. And I think this, the build was pretty good. I 3 and 2 like 4 or 5 leagues. But the thing is it's just like a bad version of Nadu, in my opinion, which is also an A plus B combination, deck. Like here you have, it's Show and Tell plus Fatty or Sneak Attack and, another Fatty. Whereas for them, it's Cephalid Illusionist and or Nadu, Cephalid Illusionist and Nadu combined with the Nomad's Encore or the Shuko. And so, their deck is kind of relying on the graveyard, but you can't really target it with graveyard removal. And then just the way Nadu works is it's pretty resilient to removal as well. And they can do their thing at instant speed. So all in all, you could say that the Nadu deck is susceptible to creature removal, whereas this deck is not, and that's certainly an upside. But there's also this risk in playing Show and Tell that you're just going to get your Atraxa Thoughtseize reanimated by your opponent. So, I don't know. This list was pretty good. And, well, I guess I would play some defense grids. But, I don't know. How to sideboard against, like, Blue-Black Reanimator. It's just what I spend my time thinking about. And I really don't know how you're supposed to do it. You need some Gravedigger's Cages. And there's Pyroblast, but what you really want is Flusterstorm, but then you run out of room for things like Pyroclasm and Brotherhood's End, and well, you kind of need that stuff too. And man, I'm just I don't know. So my attempts to make content on decks besides Rhinos, I think I could play Delver pretty effectively, and then I don't know. I should probably make like some Food Chain or Dreadnought combo. But I own these like Ancient Tombs in paper that I bought because I thought I'd be into that kind of thing. And I guess I don't have an Ancient deck that I like, which is unfortunate. Although, I did see that Didakith, who I know is a Gruul Initiative aficionado, did. And I have tried to play this before. This deck kind of drives me crazy because the mana is often awful. Like you're playing Cavern of Souls, but none of your creatures are like the same creature type. So it can be awkward, but the One Ring is kind of a big upgrade. But and it is a little bizarre this deck doesn't play Chalice of the Void, but at least you don't end up having Chalice for 1 and Pyroblast in to try to deal with Murktide Regent. In general, the lack of counters or the lack of interaction with combo decks. So there's like no Chalices and no Trinispheres. I mean, that's kind of scary too. But I don't know. So maybe I'll give this a spin. I don't know. I'm going to try to get something else on the channel at some point. But for today, it's going to be more Rhinos. So that brings us to the build we are running right now. And so, I mean, I have decided I'm just playing 8 fetch lands. I cut the 4th Wasteland for the 4th Wooded Foothills. My feeling is if I can just play spells, it's going to be a competitive game. The other thing I've done is I've cut the 4th Force of Negation, and then the Murktide Regents, and a Simian Spirit Guide from the regular list, for 2 Mystical Dispute and 2 in main deck Endurance. And so just we're playing 1 less mana source by cutting a Simian Spirit Guide, but also our mana is slightly more consistent because we've cut Wasteland for Wooded Foothills. And this Wooded Foothills can grab Thundering Falls, and so having like a Wooded Foothills instead of a Wasteland in your opening hand can be pretty big game, just because the Surveil lands let you sequence into what you're looking for, or maybe you're able to get that basic force and suspend Crashing Footfalls. I guess I'd just rather draw slightly more mana, and we need to be able to play our spells, and so Wasteland's a very good card, and I think a 3-of works out pretty well. So, and then I'm playing main deck Endurance, which, graveyard decks are pretty big, so we're trying that over Murktide Regent. And then the main deck Mystical Disputes. A lot of the lists for Rhinos you might see on MTG Goldfish, well, they are not playing Murktide Regent and are just playing 2 Mystical Disputes. So we get both Endurance and Mystical Dispute. And this thing can counter not Nadu, or anything else if we happen to have 3 mana, which is not not feasible. And then we are going to be trying a Collector Ouphe sideboard with 3 Magus of the Moon as well. I mean, I think that Blood Moon's kind of the expected juke, and so you see like Nadu plays a bunch of Force Negations. We don't want to get our Magus of the Moon Force of Negation. And I mean, Eldrazi can be a tricky matchup, so they can dismember our Magus of the Moon, but we're playing 3 of them instead of just 2 Blood Moons. We'll see how it goes. And then, in matchups where you bring in Collector Ouphe, so like the Epic Storm, or like Mud, or that Basalt Monolith pile, we're going to be boarding out our Rhinos, and so we need some kind of additional beatdown. And so Magus of the Moon is going to be shutting off their solo lands and their Urza Sagas. And so we have 2 extra sideboard slots because Endurance is now in the main deck, and so I am playing Minsc, and so that also kind of complements this Collector Ouphe plan, as if we are boarding in the Ouphe, we can also board in Minsc to help close out games, because our deck is kind of lacking in that. Okay, well, that was a lengthy introduction, but here we go with some Collector Ouphe Rhinos. All right, we're going to kick this league off on the play against the Daddy, who I haven't seen in a while, but I believe is a Dredge player. Cool. Well, at least we have a Force of Will and some fast-ish Rhinos, if they are in fact on Dredge. All right, so I think I'm just going to be playing a Misty Rainforest. Maybe I should play Tropical Island, because if I find an Endurance, I don't have anything to, sack to it besides my Shardless Agent, which hopefully we're casting. I think that's... The only thing is if I don't draw, suppose we draw like a Violent Outburst and or a 3-drop, we want to jam like Endurance. So maybe I do actually want to, I think I am just going to Lorien Revealed here. That way we have our mana set up for the next couple turns. Looks like the opponent's on the old draw, discard, dredge plan. It's pretty classic. And I guess I'll get a Volcanic Island here. That seems good. They sure are. We drew the Violent Outburst, so we did that correctly. Here's a Simian Spirit Guide. So hopefully Force of Will can see us through the turn here, and if we can be attacking and Violent Footfallsing, I'd have to imagine we'll be in a pretty good spot. Well, the opponent's playing a Lion's Eye Diamond. Is this something I want to Force of Will? So if they have like Faithless Looting, yeah, I think I am gonna force this. Just force the first thing they play. That's what Bosch and Roll says. Because if they have like a breakthrough or something, at least they don't discard their hand first. Yeah, okay, see that Cephalid Coliseum here, so I think this works out pretty well. Yeah, because they would be doing that if I had not forced. So, well, we will hit them with an attack. Well, it looks like they are not blocking. Not surprising, since they don't have any creatures. Here comes a Violent Outburst. All right, Crashing Footfalls is on the stack. We are in for 13, and so they really gotta go off here. They did hit their Anger, but they don't have a mountain in play. They do have a bridge from below. They can crack their turn here and probably pop the Coliseum. Oh, well, now they have a mountain, so that's good news for them. So it looks like they've dredged pretty well. Well, they've hit 2 Narcomiobos. They've discarded 3 Golgari Grave Trolls. The good news is our Rhinos have Trample. They really need to put a lot of power on board. If they've got like a Lion's Eye Diamond here or something, it's gonna be scary. Poxwalkers is probably a good one. So they can therapy twice and make a whole mess of dudes. Yeah, it's gonna come right down to it. So they're attacking with their hasty Narcomoebas, which I suppose makes sense as they try to make an army of blockers here. Yeah, Cabal Therapy, a whole bunch of triggers. We're just F6ing as we have nothing. Poxwalkers is tapped, so that is something. But they're going to end up probably Dread returning out a Golgari Grave Troll. That does chew up a bunch of tokens. So they Cabal Therapy again. So they still only have 8 power. Or, okay. This is a bunch more tokens, right? Cool. So they can absorb 8. I don't know if this is enough. Crashing Footfalls. So, I mean, I think I just attack. They block. So they can absorb 4. Maybe this is enough. But I don't really see another play besides attacking with the squad. I'm sure this doesn't get better if I wait. Okay, so they do just have enough here to block everything. So at least they're low on zombies, but they can make more. But I am going to take out their bridges. So that's something. Then I can suspend Crashing Footfalls here. And yeah, they've got 11 power attacking me. 12 power. So yeah, we'll need something pretty radical. And then they've got Cephalid Coliseum. So that'll probably win the game for them. My opponent's running River Kelpie. That's some tech. I see it persists and draws cards. Yeah, okay. See, and they have this Thassa's Oracle win. And then they are going to Dread return back to Thassa's Oracle. Oh, cool. And they only have 1 card in their library, so this will be a win for them. Yeah, here it is. Cool. Well, I mean, I think this does improve post board with more endurance. I don't think we can be inevitably betraying. Now, Magus of the Moon could potentially do something. Like, is Fire and Ice really worth keeping in? I think I could just see Magus of the Moon shutting them off from some stuff. So I think they're playing this list or something close to it. There is Silent Gravestone. Does endurance target players or graveyards? It targets players, okay. Leyline of the Void. So I mean, if they have Leyline of Sanctity, that would turn off the endurance. I guess I'll just have to risk that they don't have it, and if they do have it, we'll have to petty theft it. And so what would be better here? Like just Minsc and Boo? I mean, that does fling things and kill bridges. And it's a green card for endurance. Is Magus of the Moon worth trying to bring in to cut off lands? Like, how much do I want Mystical Dispute? It's probably okay. All right, I think I'll just go with Minsc and Boo to maybe like close a game out or something. If I use a bunch of pitch spells, that could be okay. So this hand does a whole lot of nothing, unfortunately, in this particular matchup. If I had a blue card, I think I'd be all over this. But it's not to be. And so I think this hand is also too slow. Okay. We'll keep. So we can put back. Let's see, we have the endurance in the Spirit Guide. That probably has to. We're probably not about to Rhino, sadly. So maybe I put back Force of Will in the Violent Outburst. I mean, if I somehow survive the turn and I actually get to hardcast endurance, that's like almost as good as Rhinoing. Like Force of Will may be worse than Force of Negation because we're gonna not be countering a creature. And I think they're more likely to Cabal Therapy a Force of Will. And then maybe it just has to be the Violent Outburst here, unfortunately. Okay. Oh, the opponent did mulligan to 5 also, yes. Okay. We got that going on. Lion's Eye Diamond from the opponent. Am I going to Force of Negation this? Bosch and Roll says you just force the first thing they play. Although I think we can actually just force a Faithless Looting here, and isn't that better? I'm going to get a Hedge Maze. A blue card. I think that's okay. This lets me Lorien Revealed right now. Otherworldly Gaze. I think I'll have to live with it. They hit a Narcomoeba here and a couple Stinkweed Imps. I wish they kind of let you do the graveyards like they used to, where it would just be like it would be like right here, but I have to deal with this crazy pile instead. Okay, we'll draw a blue card. I'm gonna Lorien Revealed now for the Thundering Falls. If we get the chance to hardcast the endurance, this Elvish Spirit Guide. Probably, unfortunately, this would let me cast the endurance, but what are the chances we don't end up endurancing on their turn here? So I think it's got to go. We pass it back. So we can afford to let them dredge for now. So maybe maybe not just forcing the Lion's Eye Diamond was a mistake, because once I endurance them, they get to Lion's Eye Diamond and empty out their hand. So I think you're supposed to take Bosch and Roll's advice there. They're having a good think on their upkeep, so maybe they're thinking about popping this Lion's Eye Diamond right now to flash back their Otherworldly Gaze, I wonder, which does cost 2, right? Yeah. Well, my opponent sure is having a think on their upkeep, or maybe they're making a ham sandwich. All right, they eventually let us proceed into their upkeep here, or draw step. Now they have a Cabal Therapy. I think what you want in this matchup is a pause on their draw step. They're going to Cabal Therapy me. I guess I made it pretty obvious I have endurance. So I'm gonna do some enduring. I should have just let them maybe snap off. But I really regret not forcing the Lion's Eye Diamond here. So the endurance resolves. And they name endurance again. They crack a Scalding Tarn. And they want an Otherworldly Gaze here. I guess I'm gonna Force of Negation this. And there's a Faithless Looting. And they've got a Dredger. So this is probably bad news. There's an Archamoeba. So that'll let them, let's see. Well, they don't have any bridges from below. But they could get a Poxwalker into play. They could also attack for 1. So they do just pass the turn. Brazen Borrower. Well, that is a petty theft that I can play. Now they have a bunch of bridges from below. And I guess I didn't set the stop in their draw step, so that's pretty brutal. So they get a Poxwalker. They have all these therapies and bridges from below. I think they're just going to make an army of tokens, and I'm just not in a position to do anything. So I think I'm good on this one. It's kind of a bummer. I haven't played against Dredge in a while, I guess. And I don't know. I had the Words of Wisdom from Bosch and Roll there, and I just had to, you know, F around and find out, so to speak. And I sure found out. But at least I played game 1 correctly, although I guess maybe just popping off the Lorien Revealed there is pretty darn obvious. Well, I'd have to say slops on myself for not having the trigger on the draw step. Oh, it didn't really matter there, but I think Dredge should be a pretty positive matchup on the whole, just the way that we're configured. Like just force their stuff, kill them quickly. Had to mulligan to 5, looking for interaction. That part wasn't great. So yeah, I'm just while we're waiting for my next match, we can go back and watch my mulligan decision there. I definitely can't keep the first hand. So this was the one we eventually kept here. I'm gonna try to jump ahead. I definitely can't keep that hand either. Yeah, so the mulligans were fine. Yeah, I mean, Dredge, pretty powerful strategy. Well, the good news is when you lose the first round, I believe they pair you up against someone else who's lost the first round. So we got that going on. Okay. So we're paired against Joyful Waffle, who I believe is a Delver player. And I mulligan my opening. And now I'm trying to decide what I want to do about this hand here. I think it's actually... So I was thinking about putting back a land, but I think it's actually Force of Will. And we just try to beat their days. Yeah, I think this is fine. Okay, well they are not on Delver, so... And we're getting Thought Seized, so that's nice. They smartly take our Violent Outburst. Double Bauble start off of a Swamp. So is this just blue-black anyway? We'll find out. The yield of these Bauble triggers. Petty Theft. I guess I'll throw the Taiga out there. Okay. Passing the opponent's turn, and it's a Hymn to Torok, okay? We take the Spirit Guides. That's probably a best case scenario. We draw a Shardless Agent. So I guess we're icing on the upkeep here. Trying to hit our third mana source. And hoping, I mean, if they play a Bowmaster, I guess it's really not the end of the world. At least they're not doing anything else with their turn, and we get a crack at getting our Rhinos into play. They do Bowmaster. We'll have 3 power in play. We draw land, though, we'll have 10 power in play. I think that counts. We just kind of got a Fate of Thoughtseize here. Well, that's a good one. Well, maybe we'll draw another mana source. Brutal timing on that Wasteland. Well, we did not get there, so we'll pass it back. Cool. They took our 2 Cascaders, and they've got another Wasteland. That's pretty awesome. We go down to 15. Well, we're only a mana source and a Cascader away from playing some Magic the Gathering here. Dragon's Rage. So I guess it's just like black-red kind of control type thing. Seems fair enough. Well, there's the land. They have a Raucous Theater. They kept. Yeah, there's nothing in their graveyard we don't know about. A deck like this certainly could be playing like Trolls and Reanimates, and it'll be a good question as to how many Force of Negations and Endurances we want post-board. You're looking at boarding out Endurance, I think. Sorry, boarding out Force of Negation against their hymns. Probably bring in definitely Dismembered and a couple of copies of Endurance. Yeah. So I guess I'll get a Hedge Maze. I suppose even if I were to find Rhinos now, it's not very good against their Voidwalker. So I don't know. I bottomed Wasteland. Maybe I should have thought about it more. But this Voidwalker, I guess what I need to do is like bounce the Voidwalker in their end step and then untap and play Rhinos. I suppose they're just going to attack with a Voidwalker anyway. It's 7 power. I mean, I could Petty Theft the Voidwalker, and I think it's okay. Okay, so I think we're gonna be off Force of Negation. The removal looking like it has some play against them. This is where Uro would be better than Endurance. I mean, Minsc and Boo. Maybe 3 Endurances is plenty. All right, well, this hand looks pretty good. So I think I'm going to play the Wooded Foothills here and see what they're doing here and how much I want to play around Wasteland. We do have mana. They can like Thought Seize me here. Probably will just fetch up a Hedge Maze, I think. If we can find a Spirit Guide, that would be pretty swell. If we get Wastelanded, they're not really making any hay against me. So we'll go to their end step. Crack the Woody. Get the Hedge Maze. A Wasteland. That is not what I'm looking for. Spirit Guide one time. Okay. Well, we're not going to lose to Wasteland in the immediate future. They do have the Wasteland. They'll take out my Hedge Maze. They're going to duress me here, so I guess we'll be using our Lorien Revealed. And I guess I'll be getting Basic Forest and Island Cycling. They must have not had duress, or I'm sure they would have taken the Shardless Agent. Because now they don't have any targets. Here's a Bauble. We'll yield to a Bauble trigger. Brazen Borrower. Okay. Play Misty Rainforest. Opponent plays Bloodstained Mire and cracks it. Well, we're not getting hymned. Dragon's Rage is totally fine. Bauble, and they did surveil the card to the top. I think I'm just getting the Thundering Falls here. We kind of know what our play is. But we'll get the Comes into Play tapped land now anyway. Tropical Island is like pretty unexciting, I think. As far as things go. The opponent just has 2 cards, and we've got a whole grip here, and we're about to add Rhinos. Well, I guess they did. They were only temporarily down a card thanks to that Bauble. Cling to Dust, okay. So this is going to let them draw a card, right? Exile target with a creature card. Yeah, that's okay. Got a little draw engine going on there. I guess they're playing around Murktide Regent, maybe? Another Shardless Agent's a great draw, though. Or maybe the Cling to Dust did replace itself, or I'm confused. It is like non-creature, right? It was a creature card, gain 3 life, otherwise draw a card. Yeah, they must have drawn a card. All right. We'll pass it back. Yeah, so they can Wasteland me off of Falls here. Oh, an Amped Raptor. I see some kind of energy thing going on. A Dragon's Rage Channeler. Well, that doesn't matter. Duress. Well, my opponent's going to be Dream Crushed again. 0 for 2 on the Duresses. So what I will do is Wasteland them off their Wasteland just to minimize their options and protect my Thundering Falls. And we'll get to jam more Rhinos. And I'd have to imagine, barring something crazy out of their sideboard, that will be in a good spot. All right, so they're not blocking. And yeah, I mean, we could hold up Brazen Borrower, but our life total is so high. I mean, we are going to take a whole bunch from these Dragon's Rage Channelers. But it's not like they can like Price of Progress me or Fire Blast me. It would need like Mountain Bolt Fire Blast. Cool. So the way their deck is looking, I might actually just trim a Brazen Borrower here. I'm not seeing a ton of juicy targets. I mean, they could have Shieldred, but we do have these Dismembers. Some additional removal for a giant fatty like that. Yeah. Cool. This hand has like Force of Will, and we can suspend some Rhinos. We'll get a basic Forest. They'll probably start on a Thoughtseize here. Dragon's Rage. Okay, well, I'm all right with that. I would like to fire that next turn. And I guess I can with this drawing another Wooded Foothills here. So I'd also like to Wasteland them, but I definitely need to get these Rhinos suspended. Okay, do we want to force a Hymn to Torok? I think I probably do. The way my opponent's deck is built. Now, do I want to pitch Lorien Revealed or Fire and Ice? I guess I'll let the opponent Surveil here. I mean, alternatively, I don't think we're gonna want to be forcing here. So I guess I'll pitch Lorien Revealed. I guess. We'll try not to draw another Force of Will. That would be nice. Some Rhinos. Well, that is one I would like to get suspended. We're at 17. Well, I need to Crashing Footfalls. And then, like, if we find a Spirit Guide, we're suddenly rocking and rolling with Minsc and Boo. I mean, what are the chances, though? I guess we're not firing them anyway. And I'd like to get Minsc and Boo into play. And if this thing becomes Surveilled, I could always just ice it. Or if it becomes, Delirious, not Surveilled. Dothy Voidwalker. Well, that will be a target for my Fire and Ice. Lorien Revealed. I think I do want this. This sets up the Minsc and Boo. Cool, they're just getting in for 1. That seems really good for us. Let's yield to some Rhino triggers. Play Wasteland. Let's fire. And we are not Wastelanding. We are hoping to Minsc and Boo next turn. Amped Raptor. All right, what are we hitting? Another Voidwalker. That's a pretty good one. As it's going to let them get some Rhinos into play, but if we get to Minsc and Boo, that'll be good news. So I guess I'm getting the Volcanic Island since our green is secure. But they do have Wasteland. So I'm hoping to draw a Spirit Guide or a removal for this Voidwalker. All right, deck. Go me. And no, now it's Delirious. This is a bunch of damage if I can't get something down soon. All right, well, that's at least a pretty good one. They have a Wasteland. Absolutely brutal. I wish I could just draw Wasteland at will when I needed it. I guess the good news is we have a bunch of Rhinos happening here. So we can eventually overwhelm the opponent's Voidwalkering. Okay, they are not attacking with their Dothy Voidwalker. Yeah, I guess we're just pretty close to dead. They had the Wastelands on the turns where it mattered, and Minsc and Boo being costing 4 was bad. And there's really nothing I can do. Stop them from attacking for 6 more. We drew the Spirit Guide too. That is so frustrating. I can't believe they had all the Wastelands at all the right times, but I guess that's the way it goes. I guess I'll attack for a whole bunch. We could have survived 1 Wasteland, but 2 Wastelands, just absolutely brutal. Cool. All right, we are, I think we've lost every die roll. But, all right. Ooh, Cloud Post. So I think we get to do the whole Collector Ouphe thing this matchup, so that'll be cool at least. All right, the worst possible draw. All right, I'm not tilting off or losing my mind. We're gonna have to make some tough decisions about what to force a will against this opponent. All All right, so they play another Cloud Post. Our Suspend ticks down. I guess I'll pull up my Suspend window here so we can see what's going on. Well, Wasteland's a really good draw, so no longer upset. And we'll suspend another Crashing Footfalls. So they have a Planar Nexus here. They only have 3 mana, so we can always yield to those Crashing Footfall triggers. And okay, a Force of Negation is probably not a bad one. We can force twice. It's probably a really good draw, so I should be more excited. Yeah, we'll do a Thundering Falls. I think I'll take a blue card for sure. So we got Force Pitch, you know, Lorien, Force Pitch that Mystical Dispute. So the thing I'm worried about here is the Eldrazi, the Mike and Sylth guy. Oh, here we go. We're getting some action. Are they going to make a green and like crop rotation and get blown out by Force? I'd be okay with that. Maybe it's a Kozilek's Command for 1 here. I think that's what we're getting. Okay. Cool. So maybe they're trying to jam like the One Ring or something to that effect. So I've got an Urza's Tower over there, so they have all kinds of mana. But do they have anything to do with it? It looks like they're not going for a Sowing Myco spawn. That's good news. So now we can get our Shardless Agent down. We'll tick down on some Crashing Footfalls. Okay, now what is this? A Disruptor Flute. I guess I let this go. It's really not the thing that matters. We're just going to be paying 3 for our Crashing Footfalls. And now playing Shardless Agent would be stupid. We could potentially do Mystical Dispute, like a giant K command maybe. But we're probably Wasteland. Well, I guess we're going to lose to the Disruptor Flute. I guess I should have foreseen this coming. Well, I should have fathomed that my opponent like knew what they were doing instead of not, I guess. I don't know. What are the chances I can draw a mana here? Okay, we drew a mana, so we're still playing Magic the Gathering. I wonder if they'll have another Wasteland. If they're my last opponent, they sure would. Play a giant K command. Here we go. Well, the opponent hemmed and hawed about doing something in my end step and ultimately declined not to. Ugin. It's probably not good. They have 7 mana. This game was still going so well until the stupid Disruptor Flute happened. I guess they can probably make a green. What they can't do is search up the Mike and Myco Sylth and do the thing. So hopefully they don't have the spawn in hand already, or whatever it is. All right, they're just doing that old pass on the Ugin there, it seems. So they're gonna end step, search up something horrifying, I'm sure. We'll yield to this Footfalls trigger. Yes, we'll pay 3 to cast it. Sounds good. Wasteland. Here comes the Ugin activation. Okay, now which Eldrazi are we gonna get with our 7 mana? Oh, we're gonna K command here. I think we're forcing this, right? Them having 7 Eldrazi spawns seems like bad news. And I guess I'm gonna keep Mystical Dispute. Okay, that happened. Elvish Spirit Guide, okay. We'll pass it back. All right. Take it back to their turn. Sweet, they've got the One Ring. We draw a card. We are not able to attack. Well, we can, but it won't do anything. I don't know, maybe I should have just played Elvish Spirit Guide there. And not bothered to hold up the Mystical Dispute. Here's a Karn. I can't do anything about that. But maybe we can counter the thing they Karn for. Maybe we'll get a little ambitious here. Ensnaring a Bridge. Yep, I cannot Mystical Dispute that, at least not very effectively. So they just need to play one more card here. All right, so obviously my opponent's like on a post build and not a Mystic Forge. So that's, if they are on post, not on Mystic Forge. It's good to keep in mind for game, for the post sideboarded game. So we're not going to be oofing this person. But yeah, we'll get the Hedge Maze here. We've already used the Thundering Falls. Mystical Dispute, I've already got one of those. Well, Minsc and Boo would be good here. Do you remember the opponent had the random one of Wasteland just to like ruin my day? Well, they're not going to be expecting a second Mystical Dispute, but they are going to be able to make their Karn protected. So they can just get Mike and Silth Lattice next turn, and that'll be that. Of course, my opponent's going to take forever to do it. I swear that when I record leagues not on camera, like the games go, 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 and it takes like an hour, whereas recording leagues takes like, well, it happens over like 3 hours, and you know, with pausing during the dead air, you know, it ends up being like an hour and 15 or 20-minute video. Well, the opponent's playing so brutally slow. So I guess I'll Mystical Dispute here. I see they exiled an Elvish Spirit Guide. Yeah, I'm gonna make my opponent like actually take the time to kill me. I mean, they have the One Ring on the table, so they could always lose to that, conceivably. Really though, they just get the Mike and Silth Lattice, and then they just need to fetch up an Eldrazi. Of course, they do have their Ensnaring Bridge in play, so they can't attack me too quickly. So I think it all adds up to them chewing up a whole bunch of time off their clock. All right, yeah, we are just chewing up the opponent's clock here. That is our plan. Yep. So they're going to activate Ugin. They get Emrakul, the Eon's Torn. So my opponent must know about the whole Inevitable Betrayal thing, right? So they get Emrakul, and they get to take an extra turn, but they still need to deal with their Ensnaring Bridge. They can probably find a way to do... They need to tutor up Ulamog. They lose some more life from the One Ring. They go through their attack step. All right, they're playing Once Upon a Time. There's some deliberation. They get a Blast Zone. All right, so they can crank up the Blast Zone and then answer their Ensnaring Bridge that way. And they don't have anything else that costs 3, so there won't be any collateral, so that makes sense. It is going to take them 2 swings with the Emrakul to kill me, the way things stand. Okay, they make Mike and Silth Lattice into a creature and ultimately don't charge up the Blast Zone. I guess they're doing it on my end step. I don't think playing Wasteland matters. Although maybe it'll make my opponent chew up some more of their clock time. Yeah, they're just using up a few seconds in my attack phase. Okay, they have juiced the Blast Zone. All right, we go into their turn, lose some life to the One Ring. Destroy the Ensnaring Bridge. Attack with Emmy. I will sacrifice some lands as they don't. Well, I am gonna be able to attack Karn on their turn. Does that make me want to rethink this? Yeah, just where they're at. I could just do a little bit more damage. So I guess if I draw Fire and Ice, that doesn't quite do it. Bummer, I should have played the Elvish Spirit Guide when I had the chance. Because now I can attack back for like 8. I'm sure they've got something else. I can always fetch something up with the Eye of Ugin. I guess if the Elvish Spirit Guide was in play, though, I wouldn't be able to be playing a fire. Deal the last 2 points on a counterattack. Crop rotation. Okay, so maybe they've got like the Tabernacle here. Caracas. Okay, so they can bounce their own Emrakul. All right, yeah, so they're not going to pass the turn back. Makes sense. They will take an extra turn. They go to 9, and well, they're under 10 minutes here. They come in here for this lethal attack. Sacrifice some tokens. All right. Okay. Obviously, Magus of the Moon is a good one. So Mystical Dispute. And Endurance not looking so hot. I mean, would they leave in Emrakul somehow? I don't think I can bank on that. Force of Vigor. Maybe. Do they have anything I really need to bounce? I mean, icing stuff in their upkeep. Probably not that great of a play. And then maybe we want to bounce like a Disruptor Flute or something. And I could keep in like 1 Betrayal. I think I'm just going to try this here. And hopefully we can get like a quick kill. We want like Fast Rhinos or Magus of the Moon. And counter magic. Okay. Game 2 on the play. Well, it has Wasteland and turn 2 Minsc. I guess I have to keep a hand like that. So I probably want to get a basic forest in case the whole Blood Moon thing starts happening. So we want to get a Surveil in our opponent's end step. I think playing the Wooded Foothills here is fine. Also, like a blue card, yeah, would be good to find. Of course. Now Magic Online is going to lag. All right, we'll pass it. All right, an Urza's Tower from the opponent. Cool. I think we get to do our thing. So I want to get the forest, so I'll get a Thundering Falls here. Show me a blue card. That's not a blue card. So let's try to draw a blue card here. There we go. I'll fetch the basic forest. And then Minsc doing its noble work here. All right, so we make a hamster. Juice the hamster. And get in for 4. Looks like the opponent's just playing another Urza's Tower here and passing. So maybe their plan is to try to Disruptor Flute my Minsc. So we'll decline to make another hamster. Here is the Disruptor Flute. We have the Force, so that works out pretty well. Do they have like Elvish Spirit Guide, Veil of Summer? That would be sick. They do not. Well, maybe I shouldn't have, berated my opponent over the, ooh, well, that's like the best possible draw, huh? Do I even fling the boo now? Probably, right? Yeah, I'm still going to do that. Maybe we draw another Force of Will. Okay. Do I do this in such a way? I could Wasteland them here and then Shardless Agent. It's unfortunate. We're not gonna... There's just no way to know if they're playing like Eldrazi. We're just gonna kill them quickly here. I guess I could keep the Magus of the Moon a secret. Okay. And they're just dead next turn. Maybe they can get the One Ring down somehow. But then we have the Magus of the Moon. So they do have the Planar Nexus. So they do get the One Ring down. Yeah. So we get to enjoy this song and dance. So I guess I'll be playing the Magus of the Moon here. We'll juice the hamster. And I guess I might as well thin my library and use the fetch land. So here is a Magus of the Moon. No attack because they have the One Ring protection. All right, they draw some more cards. All right, the opponent concedes. So the way these games are going, I think we need all the Brazen Borrowers. They must be playing 4 Disruptor Flutes. I guess that's pretty intuitive. I wouldn't mind to be playing Collector Ouphe, but I think the Rhinos are more important. Although we could like juke their Disruptor Flutes by playing the Ouphe, but that just seems way too slow. I guess I wish I had a 4th Force of Negation. Or a 3rd Force of Vigor, the way this is working out, but I think it'll have to do. We have a kind of close but no cigar hand. Lots of answers to what our opponent likes to do, but no proactive game plan at all. I guess I have to mulligan. Okay, well this has a fast Magus. Probably have to settle for like a turn 2 Magus here. That's probably okay. So maybe we put back an Elvish Spirit Guide. Yeah, then we just like force their like the One Ring. Play the Magus. Yup. Okay, land is an okay draw. Makes me happier about putting back the Spirit Guide. We're just playing around Disruptor Flute a little bit here. Play the basic forest. Once upon a time for the opponent. What kind of story do they want to tell? A Planar Nexus kind of story. Cool. Here's the Karn. So I guess I'm not taking any chances with this. And I guess I will just pitch the Brazen Borrower. Petty Theft could be good. It's probably better just to have access to my 3rd mana, and I can cast the other side of Petty Theft under the Magus. Now, do I Lorien Revealed right now to get my island is the question. We draw Force of Will, we'll wish we had the Lorien Revealed. If we draw Violent Outburst or Shardless Agent, we wish we had Lorien. Well, there's more Cascaders than there are forces in the deck at this point, so I guess I'm going to do it this way. And the basic island seems fine. Well, we drew the Force. Unfortunate. Well, we made the right play, so we can take solace in that if our Magus of the Moon gets dismembered. Well, they do not immediately dismember the Magus, so that is something. An Elvish Spirit Guide. I think, well, we could only get punished by drawing our Minsc and Boo. If we didn't have like a Magus in play, we could be thinking about hardcasting Force of Will based on that Elvish Spirit Guide, but we do not. So, well, we don't have access to double blue, so I'm just gonna double the clock here. They're tapping mana. It looks like they're thinking about dismembering my Magus. I wish I had a blue card for my Force of Will. At least they're just passing the turn. Violent Outburst, okay. Well, that's not a terrible draw, at least. They look like they're thinking about Disruptor Fluting me. It looks like we're going to get Crashing Footfalls on the stack. So at least we didn't get Disruptor Fluted. They're down to 11 here. Or they're likely down to 11. Crop rotation. What are we going to get off this crop rotation? Another Urza's Tower. Okay. So they've got 7 mana as things stand. So they've up and got the Sowing Mycosapon. Okay. Need to blow up my island. Which land are they going to get? A Wasteland and just try to cut me off here? Or do they have like a Mazavith? Well, they got a Cloud Post. They have another Cloud Post. That's scary. Show me Wasteland. Okay, well, that is something. So I guess I'll just attack with everything if they block. No, I guess I think I'm okay just attacking with the Rhinos. So if they chump block here, we're kind of in the same position. They do chump block. They're going to 5. I guess I should have more explicitly done the math, but obviously if they have like a K command here and take out my Rhino, then they're tapping for a whole bunch. 12 mana, 11 in a green. Feel like a Veil of Summer. Ulamog. Gonna make me regret I didn't bring in my Betrayals. That'd be frustrating. Well, whatever my opponent's planning to do, they've got less than 2 minutes to do it. They're tapping Cloud Post. They're untapping Cloud Post. They just tapped and untapped the Cloud Post again. Okay, here we go. Oh, I guess they're untapping everything. Well, the client's being laggy. I'm just salty about the way that the Lorien Revealed thing from before. Well, I guess it worked out okay. We've got the Force of Will now. But man, my opponent is struggling with whatever they're trying to do over there. I mean, I think they're trying to brew a Kozilek's command. Which is good news for us. That's when I can answer. But they've only got 30 seconds on the clock here, so they're glitching out over there. Crop rotation. Do I force this crop rotation where they have 20 seconds left? What could they? I mean, my rule of thumb about crop rotations is that I try to usually we force them. My opponent, see if we can. You can decipher this madness from my opponent. Quail plus Il Tuo Reddito. Fratello. I don't know what any of that stuff means. Am I supposed to force this? What could they crop rotation for? Glacial Chasm or Blast Zone? Okay, this is a Cloud Post list from online. This has got to be like what they're playing. They don't care about a Tabernacle. I mean, they could get a Glimmer Post. It doesn't really do anything. If they get the Eye of Ugin, yeah, I don't know. Now my opponent's saying you are a leader, Fredello. Okay, I don't know what that means. I don't know. I kind of want to let this crop rotation resolve and just see what they get. I don't know if we're gonna find out. A Glimmer Post. So that's only good for 4. That doesn't solve their whole Rhino problem. I guess that's 14 mana. Okay. All right. They're out of time. Well, look at us getting a match win off the old clock there. Well, folks, sometimes the match wins come easy, and sometimes they are brutally difficult. And today has been the latter. Yeah, we are an hour and 6 minutes into this recording, getting our first match win. That second Wasteland from the black-red player really busted my chops, I guess. But I guess I feel like my configuration here. You can see why Murktide Regent is such a good card, just because it only costs 2 mana. So I've probably made things too complicated, what with my crazy main deck endurances. You know, obviously these are good if you play the right matchups, but we are not playing the right matchups. This is who you play in the 1-2 bracket, Scoobert Dubert. I mean, I really am not trying to judge. I myself am in the 1-2 bracket. So I do subscribe to the just keep every hand, but I think this hand is too loose, even for me. Okay, so this is the old, we just need to find a green source, and we're in there. So I'll throw back an extra Brazen Borrower. The Simian Spirit Guide lets us play around days, yeah, and could make this happen on turn 2 if we find the green source, so. All right, here's a Thundering Falls. Another Brazen Borrower. I think we're good on those. Okay, opponent starting on a Saga. Here's a Manifold Key. Oh man, we're gonna be doing some oofing. That's what this means, if you didn't know. So maybe I would just Wasteland the opponent here and not let them do Saga things. It's probably what I need to do. Then I'll get my green source, and then we're rocking and rolling here. But maybe I'm supposed to save my Wasteland for the Ancient Tomb. But they were not curving out as well. A Disruptor Flute. Sure. What are they going to name here? Are they going to name Crashing Footfalls? Because we can petty theft this thing. And maybe I got ahead of myself. They named Force of Will. Okay. I think it's just Tropical Island. Yeah, I mean, that's really the only choice, as it's the only green source my Lorien Revealed can grab. Okay, well, I probably do just want a Shardless Agent here. We draw another mana source. It's better to follow up with Violent Outburst and lead off with it. This is the whole 10 power here. Opponent has a Planar Nexus. Cool. So we drew the Lorien Revealed, so we can petty theft here and then hit them with Force of Will on the One Ring that they're about to play. We'll get him down to 8. Yeah, we don't even need to worry about this Violent Outburst. It's just Petty Theft, the Disruptor Force, the thing that matters here. And man, my system is lagging. Okay, we finally passed into their turn. So they don't have the Metalcraft yet, but if they did, this thing would tap for 2. Here's the One Ring. This is just how we drew it up, folks. Yes, we will Petty Theft the Disruptor Flute. And this is going to be a win for the home team. That's how we drew it up. Yes. Cool, the opponent concedes. All right, now I get to do the thing that we planned for. And so Mystical, Dispute, and Fire and Ice. Oh, the Crashing Footfalls. Okay, yeah, we'll take out the other Fire and Ice and bring in some Force of Vigors. The Fire and Ice could tap a Saga token, but Brazen Borrower and Force of Vigor are much better at dealing with the Urza Saga in general. I think Scooberty Duper, that must be like a Barney reference, right? Because he'd be like Superty Duper. I don't know if you watched Barney back in the day, the purple dinosaur, not the drunk guy from The Simpsons. Well, this hand has a turn 2 Ouphe on my end. Is that good enough? I guess so. Urza's Tower and pass from the opponent. That works for me. A Force of Will is a great draw here. So we probably want our basic forest. Yes, we can get the island off the Lorien Revealed if needed. Although actually I'll probably just get a Surveil land here. I'm just thinking about what we would do if we got the Magus of the Moon. The Glaring Flesh Raker. So this probably needs to be forest, right? Let's start. I guess that's a reason to keep Fire and Ice in, huh? So we'll start with the Hedge Maze. Seems fine. An Elvish Spirit Guy. Well, that will help us get Minsc and Boo down on turn 3. So we can force here. And then I might as well get the basic forest down. Now, actually, what we could do is Minsc and Boo right now. They don't have any artifacts in play, right? And then we can just follow up with Shardless into Ouphe. I think I'm going to do that. Yeah. Now, do I want my basic forest? What red cards are in my deck? Violent Outburst. Oh, and Magus of the Moon. All right, I guess I'll get the Volcanic Island. And then we will Minsc and Boo it up in here. So maybe they play like the One Ring next turn, and then we hit them with the Ouphe. Well, they've got like a whole bunch of mana now. They've got 6. There's the One Ring. This Ouphe looking pretty good. Looking like it will be good. What's this? Shadow Spear. Okay. The Disruptor Flute on the Minsc and Boo would have been kind of irritating, but at least we'd have the 4/4 in play. We shan't use Minsc and Boo's ability. Do I want to pop this off on like a basic forest? Maybe. Oh my god. A game. This is actually going the way we drew it up, folks. It feels so good. There's the Ouphe. This is the very thing I planned for. And then I guess I could like fling the Boo at the Shardless Agent to draw a bunch of cards. That seems crazy. Because they're like dead next turn. And I mean, if they like answer the Ouphe, they're probably not like winning the game this turn, or I don't know, maybe they've got like Dismember into doing everything they hoped and dreamed of. But if they pass the turn back and we've only lost Collector Ouphe, I mean, obviously fleeing the boo here is, well, it's a good game. But I suppose they could get another One Ring down and maybe have another turn of protection, in which case then I think it'd probably be worthwhile to fling this boo at a Shardless Agent. So here's an Urza Saga. That doesn't change anything. And here's another the One Ring. So it looks like we are going to be flinging a Shardless Agent. Or I'm sorry, a boo at my Shardless Agent and drawing a whole mess of cards. We will decline the boo trigger. Petty Theft. All right. I'm fine with this play. At the, I mean, my opponent just has protection. Yep. So we'll take out the Shardless Agent. And draw a whole mess of cards. These are some cards, huh? So we are missing a Magus, which I kind of wanted. But okay. Play a land. Endurance, I guess, is still in my deck. I probably should have boarded those out or something. So I guess I'll play a second Ouphe. Yeah, and then we're holding up like Force of Negation, Brazen Borrower, so forth. The opponent's playing a Mystic Forge. This looks like something probably doesn't do anything. I mean, I guess they get to play cards off the top of their library, right? It's probably bad news. It could grow their Saga here. Although if they play like anything, they don't really get to... Yeah, they hit 0 drops. That'll make for a bigger Saga token, but we have Petty Theft for that. I think I'm going to let this resolve, actually, because there's a good chance if I just play Endurance on the end step, then we make a 4/4, and then we can, like, Violent Outburst. Yeah, that doesn't do anything. Okay, cool. All right, so we've got it here, then. Yeah, so we'll make a dude. And... I guess there's no reason to like shuffle anything. The opponent's making their construct. Cool. Making our Minsc and Boo. Another Minsc and Boo. That's pretty good. Well, if we hadn't won already, we've won now. We'll Petty Theft the token. Okay. And we had 11 power in play, but we could add 4 more power with this Violent Outburst. It seemed like enough without actually counting before I did it. Okay. Round 5. Playing for a winning record here. And it's the old... Force but no blue card and a mess of lands but a turn 2 outburst. I'm gonna run it. We're just gonna try to Hedge Maze and find a blue card here. Or I guess another Cascader, which is probably a blue card, but if it was another Violent Outburst, I could probably live with it. Opponent's on a mulligan to 5. That's either exciting or terrifying. I kind of want to lead on like Wooded Foothills here. Rather than the Hedge Maze, but I think I'm just going to lead on the Hedge Maze. Found the Violent Outburst. I'm all in on it against my opponent's 5. What is the plan? Basic Island. Ponder. So I think I'm going to just Violent Outburst on my turn while they're tapped out. I mean, most decks don't play, they play maybe 1 copy of Force of Negation versus like 4 Brainstorms that would let them find more answers potentially. So those kind of sound like famous last words, but Violent Outburst it is. The thing is, we have another one anyway, and if they do force this, they're going to be quite down on cards. What I'm scared of is that they're going to untap and do something crazy like, you know, Reanimator Traxa. Okay, we did force them. They are down to 3 cards here. Or they forced us is what happened. So what I would like to draw is like a blue card of my own to pitch to this Force of Will. But otherwise, I am definitely going to jam Violent Outburst again. Okay, so they do have the Undercity Sewer. Let's see if they've got Atraxa, a Golgari Troll. Also scary. All right, deck. What I'd really like to draw here is a blue card. So is there some way you can help me in that endeavor? Nice. Okay. Well, I'm going to pop off right here and now. Somehow we're like even on cards with our opponent. They don't have Daze or Force, so we can just counter our opponent's Troll and get in there. A Barrogoyf. Well, I hope my Force resolves. Maybe they cleverly saved their Daze to protect their Barrogoyf. Thank heavens that didn't happen. The Barrogoyf. All right, well, we're very naked here. We're getting in for 8. So we just really want like a Brazen Borrower or Fire and Ice. Maybe Endurance if it comes down before they reanimate this Barrogoyf. They're brainstorming. Feel like they're about to play Reanimate on Barrogoyf. I've got a Polluted Delta, a Crack Polluted Delta, and a Ponder. Okay, well that would seem to indicate they don't already have the Animate dead. If it does end up being, yeah, like Reanimate, Fire and Ice could really win the game here. They look like they're playing Reanimate. They're Swamp Cycling a Troll. I feel like that means they're not about to Reanimate. Ponder. Okay, so now I have one more look trying to find Reanimate here. And they shuffled. They didn't get there. Wow. They were on a mulligan to 5, so I guess I shouldn't feel too crazy about it or whatever. I'm definitely keeping a Force of Will. It does eat it to Daze, but that's about as good a thing as I could find in this position, I think. And so we'll get in there. So Reanimate's off. They want to animate dead a Barrogoyf here. Okay, they just concede. Cool. Well, you know, every win against Blue-Black Reanimator, I thank my lucky stars. So the strategy I've been thinking about against the Blue-Black Reanimator is just doing this. Is my opponent the kind of guy who... I mean, well... So we have a lot of answers to their graveyard stuff. By keeping in Force of Negation... We have like 11 counters for their Reanimates. Is that enough? We also have Mystical Disputes to win counter wars. Now the thing is they do have like Dothy Voidwalker is a card to be worried about. So like an alternative configuration would be to like cut the Crashing Footfalls and like a Violent Outburst probably. Bring in Inevitable Betrayal. Maybe what I need to do is not run out of time as I think out loud here. So we can kind of keep Fire and Ice in if we think they're on a grindy plan. I guess I don't board out. Maybe just board like that. Could try this. My opponent's playing all those Barrogoyfs. I mean, if they do, we could just take a Barrogoyf. The problem is they play all these petty thefts probably to bounce them back. Also, the problem is that Minsc and Boo is pretty expensive here. And this is where I like a copy of Uro, but we're playing all these Magus of the Moons. And we kind of need Minsc and Boo to help close out the matches where we do that. So what do I want to do in game 2 here? Maybe I'll just try the Betrayal and see how it goes. Maybe I'll just minimize the number of Cascaders a little bit. That's another answer for petty theft. Oh, we need to cut 4 more cards for this, doing it this way. I've miscounted. So we'll trim 2 Fire and Ice and a Force Negation. Well, we kind of have a lot of graveyard protection when we do it this way, or now we're going after them aggressively with Inevitable Betrayals, which kind of makes it harder for them to reanimate. I don't know if that makes sense. But I feel like you don't need the Force of Negations to stop them from reanimating so hard when you have all the Inevitable Betrayals in, because they're going to be... We have answers for their baddies. Force of Negation's kind of otherwise bad besides countering... like reanimation effects. So I don't think any of that makes sense. All right. So this hand has Endurance and Minsc and Boo. A whole bunch of Spirit Guides, more than I want. But it does have like the Lorien Revealed. I think I'm just gonna try it here. At least it has Endurance in the short term. They don't Thoughtseize me. Violent Outburst. Okay. Well, my plan here is to get Lorien Revealed, or the Lorien Revealed in their end step. And then start jamming stuff. See what happens. They're doing a whole lot of nothing over there. It's a little worrying. So I think I just have to get... Maybe I'll get the Taiga. Then we'll grab the Volcanic Island off the Lorien Revealed. Here's the Volcanic Island. Another Lorien Revealed. So we could sort of sit tight here. I guess that's the plan. Maybe we can like get them to fight over Endurance or something. I don't know if I want them to fight over Inevitable Betrayal or Endurance or Minsc and Boo here, but I guess where these are instants, except for the Minsc and Boo, we're gonna wait and try to get them to fight over something that doesn't matter so we can resolve something that's important. All right, the opponent has resolved Brainstorm. They don't troll. And they don't play Wasteland. All that seems like good news for us. All right, well, I'm gonna keep on Lorien Revealing here. Okay. And we'll pass it back. See what they want to do. They play Entomb. So they are trying to Entomb, which suggests there's something worth getting with this Violent Outburst. So I could Violent Outburst right now. I think that's probably better. Because then we can endure. If the Endurance happens first, do they just have a consign here? That's probably what's going on. Okay, if I let the Entomb resolve, Like, it's better they burn the consign here, which they tap out for. So if we did this in the other order, they would just be getting my endurance and, but okay, yeah. Anyway, they've entombed. They have their Archon of Cruelty. So that'll be tough to beat. Do I just try to endurance right now? If they have Force of Will, we're pretty boned either way, I guess, right? I think I'm going to try to do this now before they untap. Oh, they just let me do it. Maybe I should have waited for the reanimation effect. But if they're untapped, they get to start consigning and stuff again. They're pondering. They did choose not to shuffle off their ponder. And they're passing their turn back to me. Scary. Well, maybe they're passing their turn. They've certainly gone into their second main. Swamp cycling, the Troll of Khazad-dûm. They reanimate the troll. It's unfortunate. It's going to be good against my Minsc and Boo. The Uro would be good here. We drew another Violent Outburst, though. Well, I guess I am trying that. This will be savage if it works. We know they have an Archon of Cruelty. We didn't get consigned. Do you have Force? No, they don't have Force. Wow, we actually get to do this. So I guess Atraxa seems like the obvious choice, right? As good as Archon of Cruelty would be. Yeah. I'd like to load up my hand. Okay. So Artifact. Sorcery. Instant. No. Instant. Oh, sorry. We do want the Lorien Revealed. We want the Force of Will. We want the Endurance. And a Misty Rainforest. Okay. I think I did that right. What we actually get to do here is just do it again, right? Yeah, we do. So we get to get their Archon of Cruelty also. So we're kind of going out with a bang here. So here's the other Inevitable Betrayal. And here's the Archon of Cruelty. My opponent has very sportingly not conceded yet. And so we got the old Force plus double Endurance. And I don't even care if they get a Baraglyph out now. I wouldn't even Force of Will it. You can have a Brainstorm. Petty Theft on the Archon of Cruelty. This is probably worth Force of Willing. Ooh, they're forcing back. That means I get to play Minsc and Boo on my turn. Oh, but they go down to 9, so they know that they know what it is that our attack is going to kill them. Cool. All right, well, that league got off to an extremely frustrating start, but we did pull it out. Let me just go over to my main deck here. So, the loss to Dredge, I guess, is frustrating because we're like main decking these endurances, but I guess I knew what I was supposed to do, and it was Force of Negation the Lion's Eye Diamond, and yeah, Boshin rolls Wisdom is no joke. So when you find yourself playing against Dredge for the first time in a long time, and it's some crazy otherworldly gaze, Lion's Eye Diamond Dredge build with anger, you'll know what to do. Don't make my mistake. All right. And then the black-red mid-range. they certainly found the Wastelands in all the right places. Like in that game 2 against Dimir Reanimator, there are certainly spots where getting Wastelanded would have been brutal. So we did get Wastelanded against the black-red Rakdos. We'll just call it Rakdos mid-range, huh? But we didn't get Wastelanded against Dimir. Yeah, the Cloud post match, that was a grueling endeavor. And so, like, they sure had the Dismember for my Blood Moon. So if I kept the build like this, maybe just where I have Collector Ouphe, where I have Minsc and Boo as like an additional threat that I'm bringing in with a bunch of moons. Maybe the harder to remove Blood Moon would make more sense. Now the thing is like a Cloud Post player can just Boseiju a Blood Moon. So it's questionable if that's actually better. We also saw the problem of the Disruptor Flute. Like, I kind of want the third, like, Force of Vigor. And then, like, maybe 2 Blood Moons. But I don't know. Also, just getting Wastelanded was just really brutal by the Rakdos deck. And it really made me wish I was on the Murktide Regent build. And also against a deck like Dredge. I mean, technically we have less answers to, all their stuff. But like we get more blue cards. Is that true? Because I guess this would be a Wasteland and a Simian Spirit Guide. I guess that's not true. But I feel like if we're playing the Murktide Regent build, we could have at least got one of these wins. Though I probably just should have done better somehow against Dredge. Well, we know how. I could have fawned the Lion's Eye Diamond. But their deck seemed crazily good. But my hands were just like underwhelming. I don't know. I like the idea of freeing up sideboard space. And I guess Endurance was really not a bad card. We played against 2 graveyard decks. And by main decking those Endurances, we got to have room for the Collector Ouphe and the sideboard, which is pretty untenable without the main deck Endurance. So, I don't know. But I sure like the straightforwardness. I mean, I get really irritated when the deck can't play mana. And so to that end, I like the 4th Wooded Foothills. But there is something about the Murktide Regent deck just dumping everything as fast as possible and then dumping out Murktide. And maybe trying to do something controlling like Endurance. And sometimes, I fancy playing Uro. Or I fantasize about it. But it was great to play against Mystic Forge and actually have the Collector Ouphes in the deck. That was sweet. The last league I played was not on camera. I played against TES and Mystic Forge. I don't know. And then, so in Dimir Reanimator, I don't really remember what happened in game 1. Was that the mulligan to 5? It was. Yeah, they just didn't find anything. Main deck Endurance didn't really come up. And then we went for the Inevitable Betrayals. And so yeah, I really questioned these sideboard slots. The Inevitable Betrayal. But it sure works out when the opponent doesn't juke off their fatties. And so, like, maybe I could come up with a plan. One thing when you're maybe newer to playing Rhinos is you just don't consider boarding out Violent Outburst. And so, like, if I could just make this sideboard like less dependent on Violent Outburst, or less dependent on cascading, that kind of makes the juke more tolerable. And then that's where something like Uro seems like a good idea. But the thing is, like, Uro ultimately costs 7 mana in our Spirit Guide deck, and so maybe that's just a crazy line of inquiry. Minsc and Boo did look like maybe it was going to do something there, to be fair, and it is a green card to pitch to Endurance. But I don't know, sometimes, like, your opponent plays Dothy Voidwalker, and you just don't have any answers or it's a huge problem because you board out all your Fire and Ices. So, I don't know. I guess I was thinking about the blue-black Reanimator at work today, you know, as one does. And I think I probably showed it in the video, like, what my sideboard plan was. But, yeah, it's just to board out the Fire and Ices, bring in Endurance and Dismember, and just try to, like, beat them down quickly. And to that end, an 8 Spirit Guide build probably makes more sense with 2 Murktide regions in the main. And then you're just dumping stuff at them. If they manage to get something in their graveyard and start trying to reanimate it, you just try to counter it. And you're just dumping stuff out and wastelanding them. Although, see, the strategy, if you recall the league and where I played Eco Baron's list directly, is to board out a Wasteland in a lot of matchups, which sure makes me want to cut that Wasteland for Wooded Foothills and cut a Simian Spirit Guide and just have more stable mana. All right. Well, those are all my crazy meanderings about the deck. I mean, based on how that league went, we sure were close. I just don't know. The main deck Mystical Disputes didn't really do anything with any get in the way either. I mean, you could just go. You could just try to say we're not losing to graveyard decks game 1 and bring in all 4 Endurances. Like 3 Endurances might make sense, and then you got like 1 Endurance chilling in the sideboard. And, you know, maybe that's a smart thing to do, but it just seems silly to me. 3 in the main deck just seems weird. And that's probably not the best, you know, like logic on which to construct one's deck. But, you know, we end up playing against 2 graveyard decks, and so loading up on Endurance is maybe not crazy, but man, 4 is a lot if it's a matchup where they're not good. And the thing about the Simian Spirit Guide version with like the Murktide Regent is like Force of Negation does do something if you're going off on your opponent's turn. Otherwise it's terrible against tempo decks unless you're doing that very thing. And just the way it is built to kind of do that with all the Spirit Guides. So, you know, just go for it on the draw and hope they don't have 2 counters. All right. Well, that's enough crazy ramblings. I don't quite know where to go from here, but Collector Ouphe out of the sideboard is a classic. Glad we got to do it. All right. Thanks for watching, folks.